Welcome back to the channel, and on today's episode, this is going to be a recap of Real Housewives of Potomac season, where we in 6, episode 15, if I'm not mistaken, and the episode Lost at Sea. So, of course, they just pick up from where they left off on last week's episode, and they are still rehashing and constantly re-talking about this whole situation that went down between Mia and Candace originally whenever Mia went to Candace's video shoot, or at least she was asked to be at the video shoot, which she then called it low budget, as well as her talking to Candace's mom, trying to look into Candace's finances to see how broke is Candace's husband, okay, because either way. So, of course, they try to come to some sort of resolve, or pretty much it's still ongoing, okay? Candace is still pissed off that Mia called her, really non-existent music career at this point low budget, but it really was the video she called low budget. So, of course, Candace took offense to that, and the only reason you would go this hard for something is if you already know it's not as good as you try to make it out to be, because otherwise you wouldn't really care. You know, if it was really hitting on what you thought it was, it would be water off a duck's back. But of course, Candace has a way with words, almost in the same type of manner that her mom reacts to her. If you remember on previous season, I can't remember what episode it was, but you saw firsthand how Dorothy, Candace's mother, talks to her. So it's really not surprising that Candace has no bounds, no boundaries whenever it pertains to hitting below the belt. But also, she isn't really that good at clapbacks, because if you were good at clapbacks, then you would just go immediately for the juggler and go at the person instead of going for a sensitive subject. I mean, come on, everybody knows that your mom is a sensitive subject. I mean, nobody doesn't not know this. It's been happening since we were kids. However, times have changed, because when we were kids, we're coming right back at you. We don't care. It's going to be what it's going to be. Oh, we're talking about moms. Okay, we're going to go straight to your grandma or your dad. We don't care. But of course, in this day and age, you know, everything is a little bit more sensitive, which does make sense. But either way. So, of course, with that being said, Robin and Giselle also show up to the house, where they get put upstairs in the kitty room. Okay. Or honestly, it kind of looks like one of those rooms that they forgot about, where maybe it was a bunch of old pictures and sewing machines up there, where somebody go up there and work on, you know, their art projects for their kids and stuff like that. And then even the town itself just seems very slave ownerish. I'm just not. I mean, the house itself is like, whose plantation is this on? But either way, so Robin and Giselle show up, and then of course they're not happy about their living quarters, because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like living quarters. And then let's talk about the numbers on the door. What is with that? Was this a house that was for a suburban camp or something? Because I'm not sure why the rooms have to be numbered. But either way, host Wendy, what a terrible job. I mean, where did you find even though the house is huge, it almost comes across like it's a hole in the wall. So I can't really get mad at the other or at Robin and Giselle talking about, what the hell? This is a terrible decision. You are a terrible host. And now it's like Candace has totally upstaged you, because whenever you guys went to wherever that was before in the earlier in the season, that house was beautiful. It even had a guest house, and even that guest house was beautiful. Everybody had their own bathroom, but it's old. It really is. And then the way that Robin and Giselle came in, it kind of made it seem like that they weren't really supposed to be there, but it was a last minute possibly dish by the production. Like, look, just come on. Okay. And then of course we know that Giselle broke her toe. So then that's another thing that they have to coddle Giselle on, because she broke her toe. Like, she's the only person in the world that has broken something, and she's like, she needs to be waited on hand and foot. But I can see where she's coming from, because it is irritating to go up flights of stairs with a broken toe, but she ain't paralyzed. But anyway, so of course her and Robin don't really care for the room. And of course, Robin is like, she's on her period, and she really doesn't want to be around anyone really, because she's just not in a good mood. But then also on top of that, because Wendy tells them they have to share a bathroom, because they do not have a bathroom for where their living quarters are at. So of course that makes sense, because also with the husbands being there, that could definitely get a little bit uncomfortable, especially whenever you're on your period. It's like that could be a whole mess. So that makes sense. I'll give her that. But also, Giselle and Robin were also updated about what has happened between Candace and Mia about the salad being tossed and stuff like that. So Giselle says pretty much that Candace was wrong for hitting below the belt and calling Mia's mom low budget because we saw earlier in the season about Mia talking about the troubles that she had with her mom about addiction and stuff like that. So of course, Candace was not made aware of this, so she just went forward. But also at the same time, in a war or a battle of words, I mean, it when you're in the heat of the moment, there's a lot of shit that you're gonna say that probably is off limits, but it's war. But anyway, so of course, Mia didn't like that given. Okay, so Giselle was on Mia's side this time, pretty much telling Candace that she was wrong, and Candace did acknowledge that she was wrong. Moving on to the whole debacle, or this whole dramatic type of exit that they tried to make out of Giselle and Robin deciding to leave the house and go get a hotel, because the biggest issue was they didn't have their own private bathroom, and that room that they were in was small as hell. I mean, come on, there's some dorm rooms in college that are bigger than that. So they pretty much decided to leave in the middle of the night. I believe it's about 12 a.m. Ascali, I don't know if that's how you say her name, she was downstairs to pretty much send them off. And she seemed to be the only one. I forgot who else was standing there with her. She seemed to be the only one telling Robin and Giselle to make sure they check in whenever they get to where they're going. So she definitely was extending her thoughtfulness and grace to them to make sure that they are okay while they are going in the middle of the night. I believe they ended up at a Marriott, okay, because they looked up how far the closest hotel was, and it really was a motel, hotel, Holiday Inn, about 2.5 miles, and it had like 2 stars. Okay, so they went ahead and drove 30 minutes away. But before I forgot about that. Also, they went to dinner at a restaurant, and as we can see, Candace acting out with a temper tantrum. And what was the most disappointing, as always, is the way Candace handled her husband. He can't even calm her down. I mean, honestly, it pretty much was like she was hitting at him, because her and Ashley was going at it once again about Michael. Michael always gets brought up even though he is not there. So Candace said Michael was like Ashley's slave driver, and Ashley was like, "Oh, you call me a slave, da 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 da." So of course they're going back and forth. And again, Chris is trying to calm her down, but at the end of the day, Candace she just can't be calmed down, and even Chris decided to walk off. So it just came across like he really seemed like he was more pissed off longer than what he was. But it's like I have to try to make nice for the cameras, because she literally just embarrassed you in front of all these people at this restaurant, and she just acted an ass, which is inexcusable. Anyway, so they go on a boat trip the next day. Can we talk about G? G is problematic, okay? I can see why him and Mia get along, because not only is Mia a gossip girl who definitely stirs up drama without repeating back exactly what was said, but this may have been exactly why she was brought on, to always twist people's words around and cause a fight off of something that wasn't really said the way she said it was said. Okay, but anyway, G is problematic, and I can see why those two get along. Also very vulgar, especially whenever he has something to drink. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having something to drink, but he is just way too out there. You would think that this man doesn't get outside, or it's just crazy. It seems like even in this episode, he just goes too far. He was seen even attacking Ashley on the bus whenever they were coming back from the boat ride. He was talking about her appearance, even though Ashley was pretty much sitting in the corner trying to take a nap, and G just kept coming at her. And then there also was the little scene whenever they were talking about the man's package or his third leg. And so here you go, Candace bragging about the fact that Chris has a brown penis, and everybody's like, yeah, right, that is a white man and he's going to have a white penis. So I'm not really sure why she keeps bringing this up, because nobody cares. Okay, it's just weird. So of course they're playing jokes and people are yelling like, "Oh, let me see, let me see." So Chris plays a joke and wants to stand up and pretend like he's taking off his pants, and this is and the third. And then in the same episode, we also have G doing the same thing. Okay, where he keeps talking about his erection or how big his erection can get. It doesn't look good. And once again, Mia says nothing. It's like a joke. So I can totally see how these two coupled up together. Okay, G wanted himself a hot thing to make him continue to look young, even though Mia has just done way too many things to her face where it's settling into the creases. So she really needs to stop with the Botox fillers, whatever it is, because it just really is not looking good. She's aging past what her actual age is, but we don't really know what her actual age is because it's changed 5 or 6 times. Okay, but also Karen's husband shows up, and shockingly, Karen pretty much did nothing this whole entire episode. She pretty much sat back like a fly on the wall. She really didn't have a lot of things to say. Of course, Ray came up to visit, so he made it for the boat ride. And of course, even on the boat ride, again, Candace and Mia tried to make amends, and Candace was crying again with her tissues because she just wants people to take her music seriously. And she's just saying that Mia just at least needs to respect what she's doing or respect the art, even if she doesn't necessarily like it. So Mia finds a way to understand where Candace is coming from. And then Candace also apologizes to Mia and says that she's going to be more mindful about what she says. But we know that is not going to happen. Okay. And by the way, they both were breaking things and throwing things. So it's kind of funny how they kind of skip past that when they were pertain to Mia, and they just immediately went to Candace. Of course, Candace is wrong, but Mia was pretty much doing the same thing back. So Mia and Candace tried to come to a consensus. Okay, so it doesn't really feel like it's going to do much of anything, because at the end of the day, this is going to get brought up again about the fact that Candace's music career is still low budget. Okay, there's no changing that. The production value, I mean, let's be clear. And then on top of that, she's not really paying her husband anything. And who knows, he doesn't even have his restaurant anymore because he sold it. So it's almost like, what is he doing? Is he in another restaurant? Is he buying another restaurant? Is he chef? He should go ahead and go find a job being a head chef or something like that, instead of running behind Candace trying to support her music career. And in the same token, we've seen over numerous seasons since Candace has been on there, when the hell has she really supported Chris and what exactly that he is doing? So there is definitely an imbalance there. Even whenever Chris's kids came over and we saw them in the new house, she just has no mothering instincts whatsoever. And she keeps coming at Ashley about her being a mother, but Ashley is there being a mom. But it comes across as slick jealousy in a way. And it seems like that Candace doesn't really want to have any kids because she's afraid that she's going to be the same way that her mother was to her. And she knows that her mother lives within her to the T. And she can't deny that, even though she tries to, project on other people. It's not working. Okay, because even like I said, even with the stepkids, there's no connection there whatsoever. It's like she just feels so out of place, or she's just ready for it to be back on her and about her. And obviously, the way things are going when it pertains to her and Chris, it feels like this may not last because of her blatant disrespect for her husband. It's like she treats this man like a handbag. But anyway. So also Wendy and Giselle are still having issues, as well as Wendy and Robin talk about their used to be not really friendship, just because they hung out in the park a couple times and they got and Robin offered Wendy margaritas. That don't count as a friendship. So it's always very weird what these ladies title as their friends. But of course, it's reality TV, so they probably aren't even really friends anyway. But you just have to sell the dream. So pretty much Robin Mia overheard Robin downstairs talking to a Scully, and Robin's talking about how she was pretty much wrong about the fact how she thought Wendy was her friend, this, that, and the third. So of course, Wendy tries to act all big and bad, and then Mia comes upstairs and says, "Oh, I overheard Robin saying that you're not the same person that you were a year ago." And then of course Wendy has to stick her chest out and has to say, if she's the same person that she was a year ago, then something is wrong with her. But it's really just a cry for attention at this point, based off of how Wendy has changed. Okay, so it just seems like it's definitely a 180. Okay, she has went from the professor to, I don't know what the hell she really is doing, because oh boy. Either way, so that was a whole thing. It wasn't really a long conversation between Wendy and Robin, or Wendy and Giselle. It pretty much just put on the table that Giselle said she doesn't really have anything to say to Wendy, and vice versa, because Giselle also said Wendy was not welcoming to them whenever they came to the house, which is not true, because they go back and show a scene where Wendy did come upstairs and communicate with them. So, unnecessary drama. Okay. And Karen did say in one of the little snippets that, Juan should have been there for Robin. But I know there's been a lot of speculation about Juan not getting married, but I believe I saw a blog talk about how the deed for Robin's new house resurfaced, and it shows that she and Juan are actually married. So don't know how true that is. Of course, that is alleged. But either way, again, there wasn't really a lot going on in this particular episode, besides the fact that, honestly, like I said before, Mia's husband G just literally makes it uncomfortable, because his sense of humor is very perverted. Let's be honest, very perverted, very sexual, which, I mean, that I guess that could be cool in a way if you're talking to your own wife, but he's saying this to other men's wives, and it's very telling how the other men are not checking G on what he is saying, especially when it came to him talking about Ashley. He was still going at it whenever she wasn't bothering him. So at that point in time, either Eddie, who was in the bus with them, Chris, or even, I don't know if Ray probably wasn't there at that time. Either way, one of them should have said something. Oh yeah, Scully's husband was there too. One of them should have said something to G and just told him, like, you need to cool your ass out, because that shit is not cool. She's not bothering you. So I'm not sure what his beef is when it pertains to Ashley, but he definitely also needs to stop drinking, and Mia also needs to stop twisting the words around. But she can get away with it in this particular group, because let's be clear, if Mia was on the regular streets, that shit would not happen. Okay, Mia would definitely be broke, busted, and disgusted by somebody, because the whole talking outside of your neck and completely twisting the story around to cause even bigger drama when it really isn't anything at all. You're going to run across the right person, and it's going to be a great day for them and a bad day for you. So that was pretty much the gist of the episode. Like I said, not a lot happened. I even forgot what the heck they're even going to be talking about next week, because really this episode wasn't that super interesting. And, they're still dragging out a situation that happened 2 episodes ago. So that's about it. But anyway, thank you for sticking in for this recap. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more recaps from me or more celeb or influencer news. And I'll see you next time.